Hi, my name is Ebonoluwa and welcome to Beyond The Cubicle podcast. And on today's episode, drums rolling, we have a very special guest. His name is Uduack Akpan. He is an odogun in the creative scene. He is a father and he's a biker by night. Welcome, Uduack.
Thank you very much, Ebon.
Thank you so much for honoring my invitation.
You're welcome.
So ever since I entered the creative scene proper, I've always had this question at the back of my mind. Is creativity something that anybody, like any Joe, can venture into? Or is it something that you're just born with?
Okay, so there's a saying, everybody's born creative, but life teaches some people how not to be creative because they have to venture into other things, pay attention to other things. So every single human being is creative. How do I know this? Go to kindergarten school, check out the children when they do their things. They create.
Yes, jaga jaga.
You understand? They have that freedom and they create things. You can call it jaga jaga, but it is
It's creative, yeah.
Creation does not need to be perfect. Everything works together, to make sense at the end of the day. And that's what those kids do. But life happens, things happen, and then they unlearn some of that creativity and then become, people who think they are not creative. But they're still creative. They just need to reactivate that side of them. So everybody is born creative. And even if you feel you are not creative, you can learn it. So it's not for the selected few. No.
Interesting.
You can learn it. Yeah.
So I noticed that you went to Yaba College of Technology and Arts.
Yes, I did.
And some will consider that like the hub, like the originator of arts and technology in Nigeria. So I want to know how that background shaped your creative vision.
Okay. The interesting thing about my attending Yabatech was even the fact that I had to fight my dad to attend Yabatech.
Really? He didn't see the...
No, he wanted me to go to university. I mean, he was big on the whole bachelor's degree. I mean, that was the in thing. But I knew what I wanted. I had been to Yabatech. I had seen what they could do. And I knew that was where I wanted to be. So I fought. And I made sure I got in there. And yes, it was one of the best decisions I believe I've made. Because the practical and the technical abilities I have to do things, I learned them there. And even things that are beyond the scope of what I studied, as long as, I can sit with it, that the learnings, they get activated and then I can just piece them together and then solve the problem. So, yeah, it was...
When you mean fight, like how did you like prepare like a PowerPoint presentation like that? These are the reasons why I should go to Yabatech.
I wish I knew about PowerPoint presentations back then. I didn't. But if I did, I probably would have done that. No, I just stood my ground, and while he was going on about the whole, you have to go to university, I was like, sorry, Dad, Yabatech is where I want to go to. It was a thing for a while, but then he eased up, and then, the rest is history.
You mentioned something about when you went to Yabatech, you saw what they were doing, and you were like, this is what I want to do. Yeah. I want to just understand like your perspective, like growing up. Did you have like, okay, when I grow up, this is what I want to be. I want to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer, I want to be an arts person? Or were you just like going with the flow with how life goes by? Or
okay, so as far as I can remember, I don't go with the flow.
Really?
Yes. I knew exactly what I wanted to do right from when I was in
The womb.
nursery 3. Did you just say the womb?
You didn't get that?
I caught that late, but yeah. No, not the womb. Who knows? Maybe I probably would have drawn graffiti on my mom's, uterus or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah. So as far as nursery 3, I knew I wanted to do art.
Okay.
It was clear. It was that clear. And I can remember how I used to draw for my teachers when they have lesson notes that require, some diagrams.
Yeah.
I'll be in my class and then they'll come call me and they'll be like, hey, go and call, because they used to call me by my surname, Akpan.
Yeah.
Go and call Akpan for me. And then they will come get me, they will stand me on a desk so that I can reach the board. And then I'll have to draw.
For the whole class?
For the whole class to copy into their notebook.
Nerve-wracking, like it's something.
So that's as far back. And I did that all through nursery, into primary school, even into secondary school. So I knew that, art was what I wanted to do. And yeah.
Okay. You are part of your family. You guys are 4, right? Like 4 boys?
4 boys, 1 girl.
Okay. So predominantly like male in your household.
Yeah, you could say that.
Did you like get any influence from your brothers maybe, or even like your sister, like when it comes to creativity? Did you get inspiration from them growing up?
Okay, as it concerns my siblings, I am the second of, the lot. So I just had one person ahead of me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the bulk of my creative, the things I was able to sponge in creatively happened around, my environment. Not necessarily my siblings, or my family, but more around my environment. So I lived in a compound that had some dude who could draw, and I was fascinated, and I would go, look at his drawings, sometimes try to copy them. We used to draw in the sand, so all those influences. And then there was things like cartoons on TV. In fact, that was the new era when cartoons were fresh.
Yeah.
And those things, so it was more about the environment, not necessarily my siblings. Yeah. Out of, the lot of us, I'm the one who is actively studying, or who actively went to school to study art. Funny enough, my other siblings are artists, but they are not visual artists the way I am. Some of them are into music, dance, and other forms of art. So I think, in a weird way of putting it, art still runs in the family. It's just
in your blood.
The expression is in different forms for different people. Mine is more of the visual side. Yeah.
What is it with creatives and starting off as freelancers? Because for some time you were, freelance. You were very free to do whatever you wanted to do. So what gave you that push to decide to explore the corporate scene? Because corporate is can be very restrictive when it comes to creativity. So what made you feel like, hey, this is time for me to explore the corporate scene?
You're right when you say there's freedom in being freelance.
And there's money too, I heard.
There is money. But money is not everything. And sometimes I recommend structure for a creative person, because there is a chance for you to become a loose cannon if you're not guided properly. And my reason for venturing into the corporate space was to get structure and also see how a creative corporation, a creative empire can be built, as opposed to just being that one guy who is really good at this thing and, he's here, he's there, he's everywhere. Why not be the guy who can bring as many people who are good at, different things, and then form an empire out of that? So those were the things that pushed me into the corporate spaces.
Okay. Yeah. Have you ever thought of going back to freelancing, or this is it for you?
So the thing about freelancing is it's not like a destination that you have to go to.
Yeah.
You could still be a freelance of some sort, but maybe in a different capacity. So, for example, in my quiet time, sometimes I decide to spray graffiti. I could spray graffiti, that could be a freelance, gig that I do, or I could decide to write a book that can be a freelance, gig, So it's not like a destination that you're either here or you're there. Not necessarily. No. In my opinion, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, you mentioned graffiti. My next question for you.
Okay.
You've worked on various projects in the past. I noticed that you worked for Film House for the Avatar Way of Water graffiti.
Yes, I did. How you even knew that, I don't know. But
research, guys. Research.
I suspect. All right. We'll go on. Yeah.
And recently you worked with... Okay, let me just list out from what I got from your portfolio. Very huge portfolio, by the way. Lots of brands, so that's amazing. Avatar Way of Water, recently Spotify. You worked on some album covers, like you worked with Etisalat, MTN. Only you? Oh my god!
I guess I'm just blessed.
What's like the secret sauce? Uduack, tell us what has helped you to be able to work on diverse projects, because a Spotify is different from like a film house.
Okay.
And an album cover is definitely different from telecommunications like MTN or Etisalat. So what has guided you to be able to work with diverse brands?
Okay. That's a big question, but I'll try to answer it as simple as I can. I have a desire to see African creativity thrive. Okay. And I want it to thrive in as many places as it possibly can. So, if there is a global or a globally acceptable way to create an album art, why can't we do that? Why are we not creating album art, that way? Or if there's a globally acceptable way to create graffiti, why are we not doing that? Why are we not investing in that? And those are the things that actually push me to say, okay, whatever the brand is, I'm going to push myself to the point where I can do or create work that matches or even surpasses, what is out there. It's interesting when we look at the references from the Western culture. So, they do good work and we can relate with that. So that same energy is what I like to translate into, the work that I do, so that we can push African creativity to the point where it's global, and then we are speaking, the same language up there. And it's not like Africa is left behind or in the dark ages. So those are the things that push me, basically.
That's nice. And I know in working with different projects, you have to work with a team.
True.
Right? You can't just work on those projects by yourself.
Teams are very important. Yeah.
Exactly. So how do you manage diverse teams? Because I know you currently lead a team.
Okay.
Right? And we're heading to the next question, Sharp. Let's focus on this one. But how do you deal with managing different teams to make sure that everybody has the same vision, and our mission is to make the client happy? That's our primary, and so create the best quality product possible. What has been your guide so far?
In a weird way, you have answered my question. So you mentioned creating, good work, making the client happy, and you also said something about vision. So those are the things, I keep in mind, even when I'm working with a team. Okay, what is the vision? What are we out to do? Why are we gathered? As long as I can answer those questions, I try as much as I can to implement, whatever I need to implement to ensure that that vision is achieved, that client is satisfied, or that piece of work comes out like it should. So it's about just being yourself, basically, and then understanding the goal and implementing what needs to be implemented to achieve that goal. Yeah.
That's true. You've successfully climbed the corporate ladder, Uduack. Right? Recently, you just scored a role as a creative director for one of the biggest ad agency in Nigeria. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you very much.
So how have you been able to navigate from being a freelancer to now a big creative director?
If I tell you that the road has been easy, I'd be lying.
Yeah.
It's been a bumpy ride with lessons everywhere you turn. But I'm grateful for all of it because it has shaped me into this person that, I'm becoming. Yeah. And I like the person I'm becoming, and it's the person I've always wanted to, become, because I have looked at people who have gone ahead of me and I'm like, okay, I would like to be like this person or like that person or do what they do. So yeah. It's not been an easy ride, but can tell you for free that it's been worth it because, like I said, each step of the way I've had to learn, I've had to unlearn, I've had to relearn. The learning never stops, and you learn and then you implement and then you get better and then you keep it moving and things like that. So that's pretty much. So you do practice, learn, repeat, practice, learn, repeat. So sort of like that.
Okay. You mentioned that it's not been easy, obviously. I just want us to talk about the project you did with Etisalat, right?
Which of them? I did many projects with Etisalat.
Rebrand.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That one.
From 9 Mobile to...
From Etisalat to 9 Mobile.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And you said that the timeline was ridiculous. Like, how many days was the timeline?
It was I think 3 days. And we had to build a full brand, build a brand manual, have the logos deployed to every state that, they had a presence in. So it was a crazy project. They had to lodge us in, hotels, I didn't go home, for days, And
you had a family at that time too?
I was dating, so I think it was a little bit easier, So yeah, it was quite tasking, but I had a good team too. Even then, I had a team of energetic creative that were around me, and then we soldiered it. We soldiered it, and that's part of the trainings that I have imbibed from some of the people I've looked up to, how to soldier on till you get to the finish line. So for the Etisalat to 9 Mobile project, that was a huge one. It's a project I'm very proud of. Every time I drive past an experience center or I see the logo anywhere,
now you do them.
And I'm even able to point it. Right now, I'm able to point it to my, my wife or my daughter. And I'm like, hey, daddy did that. It's a good feeling.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it was a lot.
I can imagine.
It was a lot at the time.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay, so what has been your biggest creative risk ever?
Risky business. I was resuming at a new office, and I had a graffiti project to do for Clarence Peters.
Oh.
It was for a music video by Fino. And Fino is an artist that I love so much. And I was supposed to resume that day.
Wow.
So I go to the office, I check in, I say I'm going for medicals, and then from there, boom, I was at the studio spraying graffiti. And that's where I spent the rest of the day.
Wow.
I'm not telling you guys to go and copy me. It was risky back there because I was getting calls, and it was having to manage both it was crazy, but I stuck through it, and then at least I got the best of both worlds. So I got lucky. I'm not recommending anybody to please don't try this at home.
Don't try it at home, guys.
So that for me was risky. Yeah.
You've mentioned graffiti a couple of times.
Yeah.
And I sense that it's your passion.
It is.
So how have you been able to manage, being part of the corporate world, having to manage a team now as a creative director, and your graffiti is a business too, right?
True.
And your personal graffiti business. How have you been able to successfully manage that? Because it seems you've been pretty successful at it. So
well, I'm grateful for the success in my graffiti career, although I don't think I'm as successful as I'd love to be just yet. But we're building. Yeah, but managing both of them, it's just a case of understanding your objectives and knowing. So the kind of person I am, I sort of like have compartments for everything. So if it is corporate work, I have a box where I put that. My clients, my deliverables, my KPIs and all of that, Then when it comes to graffiti art, visual art, and art expressions, I sort of have another box where I put that. You understand? So it's about, for me, it's almost like when I'm not in this box, I am in this box.
Okay.
When I'm not in this box, I am in this box. So I sort of like shuttle.
You can't be in the two places at the same time.
So that,
but you found yourself in places where you have to kind of hop from one
yes,
box.
but those are like rare
occasions.
They're rare occasions. They're not something that happen all the time. But this is, I think, one of the things I must mention is this. For me, visual arts and graffiti art is what brings sanity to the corporate madness. So that's why I keep mentioning it, and I'm very, vocal and passionate about it, because when you've had to work for clients, different kind of clients, and then you've gone through the same, do this one, don't do this one, that, that seems, and it starts to look sort of mundane.
Boring.
Okay. Or boring, yeah. So I switch to graffiti, I switch to visual art expressions, and that gives me an escape. It gives me, a chance to breathe. And then I can now, re-energize and then come back. And still be able to continue in the corporate spaces. So it's just me shuttling through both worlds.
Yeah, so
almost like traveling through space and time.
Yeah, so when you say it's like a work-life balance for you, like corporate is like work and graffiti is like the balance. It gives you balance to manage.
You could call it that.
Okay.
You could call it that.
I don't know if Nigeria is kind of open to graffiti art. I think it's more of like a Western thing. Like, so what, from your perspective, what do you think? Are we getting to that point where we are open to graffiti? I don't know about laws and graffiti in Lagos, so
okay.
and how, like, what that entails. So first of all, do you think that the Nigerian people, us, the people making the big decisions, they're open to the creativity of graffiti art? And do you think that graffiti art is like something that, anybody can just like pick up and start doing, like, because it's like, it seems so like easy to do, like it's just spraying on the wall and everything. It seems so seamless too as well.
It's expression.
Yeah.
You're just expressing yourself on large surfaces.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Sometimes the surface might not be large. It could be a sketchbook, something as small as a sketchbook. You could express it there, or you could express it on a wall. But as far as Nigerian graffiti is concerned, I'd say it's still a fairly new form of expression. So not very many people are into it yet. And but what I know is people love beautiful things.
Yes, of course.
And if there is an avenue for them to appreciate it, they will appreciate it. So maybe CBN decides that, we're going to take one side of all our walls, and then from top to bottom, from the 5th floor, or maybe from the 20th floor down to the 1st floor, we're going to graffiti that side of it. It becomes a thing. It's beautiful. People see it. People want to be, associate with it. And even in this day where you have people that are selfie crazy, that's a piece that people will always frequent, and things like that. So the laws around it, I've not really had to encounter maybe cases where I am arrested, because the way I like to practice my graffiti is I don't do vandalization.
Okay.
So, I'm not about vandalizing people's property. The one where you come in at night with a mask and then you spray and then no, I don't do that. I'd rather seek the permission of the owner of the property and tell him, look, here's a sketch of what I think can become your wall. And here are the possibilities. just in case, you want people to see your space a lot more, this can help you achieve that. And if he buys into it, we go in and then we do it. And then, the rest is,
history.
Whatever it is.
Yeah. So in the advertising world, clients can be very interesting.
Yes.
Right?
Interesting is the right word.
How have you been able to manage clients ask like they want to be the biggest, the baddest telecommunications in the world? They want you to come up with this creative or this idea. How do you manage their ask and still, come up with something beautiful at the end of the day?
Okay, so from what I've learned so far, it's about seeing your clients as humans. They're human beings too. As much as they may come with, their energies and excesses, they're still human beings. So if you can find that human side of them and connect with it, you would most likely be in a good space. And that's what I try to do. I try to find the human side of my clients and I try to connect with that side so that it's easier for me to propose,
suggest,
out of the box ideas. And then also connecting with the human side of them. I'm also letting them know that, look, whatever it is I'm doing, I have the best interest of your brand at heart. I'm not doing this because I want to break down the empire you've taken, all this time to build.
Yeah.
So just let's have that understanding and then let's work together and build. So what I try to do is just connect, with the human side of them. And then once you have that unlocked, they will give you, some leeway to try things. And I've had the pleasure of, doing, trying some things and they have worked. So,
Nice.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to someone trying to enter the creative space in 2024? If everybody wants to be creative, everybody's a creative. How can you stand out?
So that's two questions in one.
Yes.
The advice I have for people coming in, and then how do you stand out? So I'll take the first one, which is, if you're coming into the creative scene, come with the mind to work. Come with the mind to create. That's what you're going to be doing pretty much. And creativity needs attention. It needs commitment. You can decide to cut corners, but I don't advise it. So come correct. Stay true to your craft, whatever it is, and be willing to chase it until you become a master at it. So yeah, that's the advice I have for people coming in. Also, don't be afraid of anything. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Don't try to be perfect, from the onset. Just come in and be you. And then that even now leads into the second question, which is, how do you stand out? You stand out by being yourself. Everybody has something unique about them. Find out what it is that, you have. What your superpower is, what you are unique at, and then build it. And I think that way you'll stand out.
Oh, yeah. Lovely. I wanted to ask what your superpower is, but can I ask?
My superpower is plenty superpower.
Just one.
One.
Yeah.
Taking care of my family.
Oh, cute. Adorable.
Yeah.
That's nice. Thank you so much, Uduack, for coming to the show.
Thank you for having me, Ebony.
I hope next time we can have a more deep dive into your career and stuff.
I would love that.
Thank you so much.
And I hope next time there will be drinks.
Of course, and food too.
Cool.
Yes. Okay, and that is it, guys. See you on the next episode of Beyond the Cubicle. Bye.